captains of leadership out there, even not even in Battle Axe, just across all four corners of the earth, pushing this truth and honesty, sincerity, and diligence, Heavenly Father. I thank you this for that. Thank you this for even allowing us to have this truth and this grace each and every day to continue to wake up in this truth and abound for more. Shoot, into it. I hope everybody getting ready. It's just a little afternoon class. I plan on start doing them just late at night, Thursday night, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. But nevertheless, the word will never go out void. Title of this class is "Don't Be Curious." Don't be curious, because I feel like not even in this truth and in the world, we're curious about a lot of things, and like some things we don't need to be curious about. Some things we need to kind of focus on making it to the kingdom. A lot of people worry about things that won't profit you none in the end days, and I just feel like whenever we go off and find curiosity, that's how we fall into sin, lust, idolatry, and that's how we ultimately end back up into our curses, right? How I said the title is gonna be "Don't Be Curious." We're just gonna go over a couple of things on why not to be curious of unnecessary matters, trying to find out different wisdom, different doctrines, different religions, idols, and everything, so on and so forth. But most High God gave us everything that we need. We just gotta walk therein. But first precept we're gonna go to, I wasn't even thinking about it, but as soon as I started the class, it just hit my spirit. I'm gonna go to 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 11. So this is the perfect thing, because shoot, in this walk, we know, like even Brother Yaakov brought out, shoot, we gotta study to show ourselves approved. That's 2 Timothy 2:15 or 1 Timothy. Man, we gotta study to show ourselves approved in this walk, man, because we're not doing it for ourselves, we're doing it for the Most High God. 2 Timothy, Salaki. We got to do it for, that's what we're doing it for ultimately, but a lot of times we forget those things, and we do it for our own gain and our own wisdom. And I'm going to get into that too, but this is the book of 1 Thessalonians, chapter 4, verse 11, and it said that you study to be quiet and to do your own business. The Bible even tell you yourself, man, be quiet, mind your own business, stay out the way, keep the commandments and live. Like, you can't really get no plainer than that. He says, study to be quiet, because a lot of us, we get beside ourselves, wanting to be in other people's business, wanting to be in this doctrine, wanting to be in this wisdom, wanting to know everything. Man, most like I said, man, keep my commandments, live. You don't have to talk to everybody. You don't have to listen to everything. Sometimes, hey, that's why about the scripture say what that say. If you be among the indiscreet, hey, know the time, man, because hey, sometimes hey, you might get to talking. You got to move around. They said to do your own business, mind your business. Because that's a lot of us where we fall off in this truth, because we feel like, hey, dang, what they doing? Oh, I ain't got nothing going. Let me get into their life. But most of our guys say, man, do your own business and to work with your own hands. Meaning, hey, do your own work. I mean, it's plain as that. Like, work with your hands, because think about it. A lot of people want to jump, piggyback off people or something like that. But, hey, we got to all make it to the kingdom. Hey, one step at a time, 1 foot at a time, right? It said, as we commanded you. Hey, that's straight like that, man. Next precept I'm gonna get. We just kind of gonna get straight into the class. I'm gonna go to Sirach chapter 3 verse 21. Common precept, but it's also heavy, because a lot of people, and it's a lot of doctrines. I mean, it's always been flowing around, sure, but it's just always the time with this wisdom. I've been hearing a lot this week, like, oh, I've been getting wisdom on this. I've been learning about that. Which is nothing wrong with learning wisdom of everything, but like, hey, how the scriptures say, not all the wisdom of fools is not wisdom, right? So we gotta understand what we actually searching out for, and some things that are too hard for us we can't go into, right? This is the book of Sirach, chapter 3, verse 21. It says, seek into, right? This is the book of Sirach, chapter 3, verse 21. It says, seek not out the things that are too hard for thee, neither search for the things that are above thy strength. Because that's what we like to do. We think we the Most High God. We try to be, at least, or try to think like him, or to see why, or to even try to come close to fathom like why he put some of the things on this earth, or why he do the things that he do. Yeah, I always said, man, search out the things that's not too hard, because hey, Christ gave us what we needed to make it to the kingdom. You act like, in Christ, hey, when he come back, ultimately bring us back to that wilderness, he's not going to teach us all these things. But right now, trying to worry about the weight of fire and all of these things, those things don't profit us none right now. How to become as rich as Solomon, we should learn about how to be rich in wisdom as him. But a lot of people want the riches, they want the women, and ultimately they fall into idolatry by these things, right? It says, seek not out the things that are too hard for thee, neither search the things that are above thy strength, but what is commanded thee, think thereupon with reverence. Because what is commanded us? To keep the commandments and live. Love your brother as you love yourself. Rock your friends. Women wear dresses, men wear pants. Handle it. Men be men in the house. Women be women in the house. The proper way, the right way, right? Those are the things that we was commanded, man. We got to think upon with reverence. Like, hey, okay, ooh, that's how I do it. That's how I get down. Okay, cool. It said, for it is not needful for thee to see with thine eyes the things that are in secret. Because we know, hey, when the Most High makes his return and he teaches us these, not the Most High Salaki, but Mashiach, when he makes his return, he going to teach us most of these things that we probably had questions about, right? One thing is, hey, he told us to do the most basic things. Keep my commandments, live. Walk in my statutes and live. It's straight like that. If you want to enter the kingdom, okay, hey, keep my commandments. It's nothing. It's not that hard, right? Be not curious in unnecessary matters. That's the title of the class. Don't be curious. Because a lot of things will get you caught up. It'll put a snare before your feet, right? That's why it said, for more things are showed unto thee than men understand. Because a lot of stuff going on in this world, like even Idris himself was asking some of these questions, right? Mighty prophet, mighty brother. Hey, the Most High, he had to humble him, though. He had to tell him, like, hey, you tell me this thing. Well, you tell me what the way to fire is. Or you want to know all these things? Well, guess what? Go fast for me. I'll tell you. But, hey, that was the mighty brother. Hey, and all praise to the Most High. That, hey, even Job. You know, we got to look at these things. But the thing is, when they were looking for it in righteousness, us nowadays, we're looking for it to contradict the Bible, to go against the Most High God, or to find some type of way to not keep the commandments in its entirety, right? This is the reason that we do it now. So, let me read 24. Salaki. It said, for many are deceived by their own vain opinion, and an evil suspicion had overthrown their judgment. Without eyes thou shalt want light. Profess not the knowledge, therefore, that thou hast not. Hey, I mean, because, hey, you say you going by, he said they are deceived by their own vain opinion. Because they want to have something to say about the Bible. Oh, I know this, brother. Guess what? I got this secret knowledge. See, I got the triple meaning. It's supposed to be a double meaning, but I got the triple meaning. I got all that. You want to come get something? Come to me. But, hey, you know damn well, man, hey, the Lord said he going to come back this. He didn't say a date. He said even Christ himself don't know. But you got the date, brother. No, you don't. You know, it's just small stuff. Like, that's one of the bigger scales, but it's even smaller things like, oh, well, this is this and that. You know, it's not even nothing to go deep into, but it said, hey, man, it said, for many are deceived by their own vain opinion. That's something you think. That's not what the scriptures say, though, because that's where a lot of people go off. They're curious, and they lose track of the Lord, and they going off to their own heart, and we know the heart is desperately wicked, right? It said overthrown their judgment, because you know right is right and wrong is wrong, but now that you don't fell into your own thing, guess what? You got given away to vile affections. Now the Most High choose your delusion, and there you go. Loop the loop, right? But next precept I'm going to get to, try not to expound too much, try to just, hey, go through it. I want to go to, let's see what I want first. Yeah, Proverbs chapter 18, verse 1. The next precept we want to go to. Because, hey, yeah. The book of Proverbs, chapter 18, verse 1. Through desire, a man having separated himself, seeketh and intermeddleth with all wisdom. The first part of it said through desire. Think about it. That's you being curious. That's your mind wanting to wander off past the commandments, past what you're supposed to get. Oh, man, now I want to find out. Dang, Enoch got a book. Oh, these got a book. Jasher. Oh, I'm going to read all that. Bible told me not to, but, hey, I just need that wisdom. I need it. I need to get so high up and built up that I can be Lord over thousands and hundreds of thousands. It said through desire a man, because after that, we're not walking in the spirit no more. You're walking in the flesh, right? It said having separated himself, because the people who walking in the spirit can see what you're doing. Once they point it out to you, or maybe if you don't want to point it out to them, guess what? You separate yourself immediately. You already showing the works of what you're trying to do, right? It said separated to some secret and intermeddling with all wisdom. And as we know, hey, as I don't even really want to go get it, but it said the knowledge of wickedness and the wisdom of wickedness is foolishness. It's not good. But it say you with all wisdom, so whatever, hey, grimy, whatever bad, good, you want it all, right? Hey, and guess what? You're going to go right back to it, man. Hey, verse 2, it said, a fool have no delight in understanding, but that his heart may discover itself. Hey, it's straight like that. It said, a fool have no delight in understanding. He don't want to understand it. He just want it all. He just want to keep everything. Oh, I got all the wisdom. What it mean? Break it down. Nah, I ain't gonna do all that. Nah, I can't do that, brother. I can't give you all that. What you mean? Well, don't you understand it? Nah, he don't understand it. He just want it to say he had it, and that's what a lot of people go off, right? They have it. They're curious in unnecessary matters. They find what they want, but they don't understand it because they have no knowledge about it. Knowledge comes with understanding, and guess what? We know how to get understanding. We got to keep the commandments. Guess what? They done fell off. They separated themselves from the people that did it, right? That's why they don't have to understand it, because they not keeping the commandments like how they used to be, right? They try to write a new commandment, but hey, it's plenty of scriptures in the Bible that say, I write no new commandment, right? But next precept we're going to go to, man, is Proverbs chapter 25, verse 27. Going into the same thing. And hey, it still applies to the same thing, man. Proverbs is a heavy book. I've been reading it lately. And a lot of it is going into like men and women. How too much of one thing is too bad, how much too good is another thing. Hey, hey, it's a good thing, right? But one thing that I tell you, man, hey, seek not after your own glory too. If you fall, get back up. If you lean not to your own understanding, hey, Proverbs 3 and 5, man, it's a lot of things that tell you not to be over curious and things to be curious about, right? This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 25, 27. It said, it is not good to eat much honey. So for men to search their own glory is not glory. So we know honey is going into the word. You know, it can be literal honey, of course, but like I said, it's a double meaning behind those things, right? Like you can go to Ezekiel chapter 3. He tell you to eat the whole roll. He literally didn't eat the Bible, but he took in all the information. He understood it, right? And that's how he did the job, right? But just to get that understanding, he said it's not good to eat much honey because, hey, you can jump up to 16. It says, has thou found honey? Eat so much as sufficient for thee, lest thou be filled therewith and vomited. Because, like, hey, you got to get enough understanding for yourself. A lot of people can take more wisdom than the next. Think you get filled up with so much wisdom, with so much honey, that you vomit, that you've been learning, right? But jump back down to 27. It said it's not good to eat much honey. Hey, eat it what's sufficient for you, right? Get what you need. It said for men to search their proof to God, not to ourselves, right? But a lot of people look for that vain glory, right? They want to see, they see how Bishop Nathaniel IUIC or captains at Battle Axes or even captains at Sakari, any of them brothers, WFI, how them brothers mighty, right? They got the wisdom, they got the understanding, the most that the Most High God has blessed them with. But now they're curious, how would it feel like to be them? Well, let me gain all this knowledge. Let's see how I feel. Let's see how I feel to do it like that. And, hey, man, sometimes you got to just stay in your place, man, because a lot of us don't understand our place. So we get curious, over curious with our job, and we end up falling out of this truth. Ultimately, when it comes down to it, falling to a new doctrine, falling to something else that ain't going to benefit you none in the kingdom. And guess what? You end up messing yourself up out of a position in the kingdom, right? Next precept I'm going to go to is not kind of a sidebar, but still on the same subject. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 23. Because it's going through the same thing. There's people being curious. This ain't even been from the beginning of this world, right? Because, hey, we understand, like, who? Eve deceived Adam, right, with the fruit, right? Ultimately going into another doctrine. But, hey, you got to understand, hey, if Adam wasn't curious about what his wife was talking about, hey, guess what? We would have never had those things, right? Ultimately, we know it's prophecy from the Most High God and going on so on and so forth. But at the same time, hey, if he wasn't curious in it, he wouldn't have took of it, right? But this is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 23. It said, for God created man to be immortal and made him to be an image of his own eternity. Nevertheless, through envy of the devil came death into the world. Because that's what it really boiled down to. Because think about it. If you're not curious about something, it don't matter. That's why we hold steadfast to our doctrine, right? It said, be ye unmovable, right? Steadfast, right? If he was steadfast, hey, he would have told him, now you going off. You tripping, right? But you got curious. Dang, that do sound good. Dang, the way my wife said it made it sound a lot good, a lot better. Let me just figure out what it was. And guess what? He went off. They both went off. But it said, nevertheless, through envy of the devil came death into the world, right? And they that do hold of his side do find it. Because guess what? That's what Genesis say. If thou do well, hey. But if not do well, guess what? Sin lies at the door. And it'll take hold of you, right? That's why we got to be smart and be not curious about these things, man, because guess what? We'll fall into sin. And death, hey, we know death, hey, you can die literally or you can die spiritually. You will spiritually be dead in this world, in this walk, man. Next precept I'm going to go to James chapter 1, verse 13. Because I just kind of wanted to touch on that too, because it's just like, hey, a lot of us, once we fall into this, we be like, well, God did it to me. He the one who did it to me, right? He showed me this. He made me go this way. Well, God didn't do you like that. Now, if he chose him to, like he'll choose your delusion, yeah, he might have. But the thing is, he ain't going to do that. But he going to tell you why, though. This is the book of James, chapter 1, verse 13. It said, let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God, for God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempted he any man. Because guess what? If you're walking in the spirit, that's how the Most High God wants you to walk. That's how Christ wanted you to walk. He said, walk in spirit, fulfill not the lust of the flesh, right? He said, man, hey, guess what? If you walking with me, guess what? You wouldn't be tempted by nothing, right? Hey, when Christ was walking through his time, he met with the devil. Guess what? He didn't worry about him. He wasn't tempted. Guess what? He was like, hey, guess what? I'm steadfast to what I know. I know my Father. I'm doing my Father's will, right? Ain't nothing gonna hinder me nor stop me from doing those things, right? So that's why when people is tempted and they fall into some type of wickedness and folly, that's the first thing they try to blame is God. But God ain't got nothing to do with that. Because if you was steadfast in His truth and steadfast into your Bible and knowing what the Most High God really wanted you and required of you, you wouldn't fall into them things, right? It said, but every man, verse 14, but every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. When your own lust, your own curiosity, right? And you enticed, I mean, you got gravitated to it, like, ooh, come here, come do this sin, let's do this wickedness, come on, come do this. Guess what? You leaving the Most High God. Because you know your spirit is telling you, hey, don't do that. Don't go do that. But guess what? You being curious about it, guess what? And you're going to find what it do for you, right? Verse 15, it said, when the lust has conceived, it bringeth forth sin. You see how you find that curiosity and you go into it, guess what? You fall straight into sin. It wasn't no ifs, ands, or but about it. But let's see what else. It said, in sin, and when it is finished, so when you get done doing your folly and wickedness, hey, guess what? It said, bringeth forth death. Straight like that. But verse 16, it said, do not err, my beloved brethren. Straight like that, bro, because that thing at the same time, hey, they don't want you to fall by them counsels. None of the prophets ever wanted us to fall by the counsel of our own mind, nor Hamashiach, Lord, nor the Most High. But that's why he said, my beloved brother. You know he's talking to Israel. Hey, beloved, we can get it. Baruch 3:36, brethren. Hey, Ezekiel 11:14. But hey, it's always meant for us to continue to pick each other up and keep this walk. But whenever we fall into our own curiosity, fall into our own ways, guess what? Hey, it brings forth sin, and then, hey, the wages of sin is death. And then he said it brings forth death, right? And that's just going into us as Israel, right? But, like, what the Most High even want us to do, even from the beginning? He wanted us to be separate from these other nations. He didn't want us to be partakers of their sins, be partakers of their ways at all, right? So the next precept we're going to go to, of course, we're going to go to Leviticus chapter 20. We go to verse 26. Yeah, 26. But, yeah, 26. But I kind of want to touch this a little bit. 23. I'm going to start at 23. 22. Leviticus chapter 20, verse 22. Ye shall therefore keep all my statutes and all my judgments and do them, that the land whither I bring you to dwell therein spew you not out. And ye shall not walk in the manner of the nation which I cast out before you, for they committed all these things. Therefore I abhorred them. So if you read up on, Leviticus chapter 20, it goes into witchcraft, goes into sacrificing children, it goes into men laying with men, women laying with women, bestiality. It goes into a lot of things, right? Because the other nations do that. They wicked. They do that. That's why he said, hey, if I cast you out before these people, hey, don't do it, because, hey, they do it. And guess what? You want to be curious? Guess what? They'll have you do it too, but guess what? That's a sin, right? It is a sin. Straight like that, man. Hey, man, and now we can jump down to verse 26. It said, ye shall be holy unto me, for I the Lord am holy, and have severed you from other people, that ye should be mine. Straight like that, he severed us. He didn't want us to never be like those other nations, right? He never wanted us to fall into lust, fall into these things. Men laying with men, women laying with women. He said he made man upright. He made a man and he made a woman. Not she man, he man, you man, D man. He didn't make all of them. He made two people, man and woman, to procreate, right? To create. That's it. straight like that. But he said, hey, these other people, these other nations, guess what? They do that. They do that. Guess what? He said, don't do those things. But guess what? Israel being hard-headed, stiff-necked, like I was even bringing out, we'll do it. And then guess what? That'll do it. Guess what? You'll fall into them sins. Guess what? You'll fall right back into these curses. But he said, man, be ye separate from these people, man. Be holy unto me. For I, the Lord, am holy, right? That's straight like that, man. He said that you should be mine, because the other thing is, when we fall into these sins, we're not worshiping him no more. We don't consider him as being our only true one God. Now we celebrating, now we loving Christmas. Now we loving Jerubbaal. Now we loving the Mecca, the stone. Loving all these things. Because guess what? The world will tell you that's cool. They'll tell you it's okay to do it. They'll tell you it's okay to eat pork, or the men lay with men for sure. Hey, for real. Hey, yeah, I can shoot. That Leviticus 20:26. Hey, I just read that mother, man. Be holy, man. Be separate, man. That's it. That's it. That's all. Because hey, them other people commit them abominations daily. They do this daily, man. That's why I say we got to be separate from these people, man. I want to get a precept on that. Let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14. I mean, I didn't want to get too much on that, but hey, us as Israel, we got to be separate, because if not, we get curious about how the heathen do and how they think and how they walk. And guess what? Most of don't even want us to do that. He don't want us to look at the way that they do stuff. Man, say, man, hey, just be separate. Don't do nothing they do. But what they do is wickedness. I never gave them law, statutes, commandments. They have nothing to do with me. So anything that you do that's besides me and you follow them, it's wickedness. Straight like that. But this is the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14. It said, be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship has righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion had light with darkness? I mean, this is going into, you can go into your brethren with this, like people that believe in the truth, don't believe in the truth, or people who keep the laws, people who don't keep the laws. I'm going to keep it on the subject as the other nations, because, hey, we know they have nothing to do with us. So if they can do something to hinder us, like how that did my brother Nehemiah building his temple. Guess what? We didn't want them unbelievers. We didn't want the unrighteous to build nothing with us, right? We don't want no fellowship with them at all, right? But verse 15, it said, what concord hath Christ with Belial, or what part hath he that believeth with an infidel? Verse 16, and what agreement hath the temple of God with idols? For ye are the temple of the living God. As God hath said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Hey, man, he said, because, hey, what does the temple of God do with idols? Because he'll tell you that. Psalms chapter 96, verse 4, Psalms 115 and 4. He'll tell you, man, hey, them other gods is nothing. He said, I'm the one who made the heavens. Where you die, guess what? I made it. So wherever you go, guess what? Y'all all going to get it. Don't follow after them because they look. He said they got mouths, but they talk not. They move. I'm going to get into that. I'm kind of jumping the gun with it, but, hey. Most of our guys, they'll tell you, man, hey, don't follow after them, because guess what? It ain't going to profit you none once you die. You just worship them for vain health, right, and vain glory. It says, verse 17, wherefore come out from among them, and be ye separate, saith the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you. And it said, and I will be a father unto you. Ye shall be my sons and daughters, saith the Lord Almighty. Man, all praises to the Most High for that thing, man, because, hey, he told you to come out from among them people, man. Don't touch them unclean things, hey. He called the other nations unclean. Guess what? They vile, they beasts, just like pigs and all these actual unclean things we're not supposed to deal with. We say, hey, and then I will receive you, because he's not going to receive us if we got a Edomite in our congregation, or if we got a Edomite as a wife, or even Elam, hey, Ham, none of them. Hey, boy, I tell you, hey, he don't want to be around none of that. So guess what? You touch him, you around him, guess what? He ain't going to receive you. He ain't going to call you none of his son or his daughter. He going to call you a bastard, and he say, depart from me, I never knew you, right? I had seen your comment. I'm just trying to, I had seen the priest. Oh, there you go. All praise. It said Ephesians 5 and 11. Let's see what I got. Man, I feel like the shoe on the other foot now. That's great. All praises, man. Oh, okay, yeah, come. Get Brother Barry Kyle precept. The book of Ephesians, chapter 5, verse 11. And have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them. Man, all praise for this precept, man, because for real. Because this goes for the heathen as well as our people, right? They say have no unfruitful works, because think about it. That's you being curious. You getting all this wisdom. You getting all this other stuff. But guess what? It's unfruitful. Because guess what? It's not building your spirit. It's not telling you how to keep the laws better. It's not benefiting you when you make it to the kingdom. So guess what? That's why you say, well, you lay at them treasures at, hey, that's where your heart gonna be. You want to study how to be this? Because guess what? A drug dealer, he got wisdom too about how to sell drugs. A Christian know how to do Christian things. Muslim know how to do Muslim things. But guess what? Israelite know how to do Israelite things, and he gonna put his good works towards that, right? So it said of darkness, but rather reprove them. Because at the same time, hey, all them brothers, like all our brothers and sisters, I'm talking about the children of Israel, guess what? We see them, we ain't gonna have no fellowship with them, but that don't mean we can't reprove them. That mean rebuke them. Hey, build them up with these scriptures and show them the right path so that their unfruitful works can become fruitful, right? That curiosity, turn it into something else. Turn it into curiosity of the Most High, and not curiosity of the next guy or the next woman that you gonna go smash with, or the next blunt you finna go smoke, or the next drink you finna go buy to go pop a whole bottle and get messed up where you don't remember tomorrow, right? Hey, this is how curiosity can lead you to the wrong things, or how curiosity can lead you to the right things, right? And with that being said, the next thing I kind of want to go into is like how some of our forefathers, how we had unfruitful works. Like we fell into that, right? Nice sunroof. The water, bro. It's being funny. But like even going back into it, man, like how some of our forefathers fell into those things, right? Like for Solomon, for example, man, hey, Solomon was the mightiest man on earth. Had all the wisdom. Matter of fact, I'm gonna get that first before I even get to that. Let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 25. Because hey, us being curious and unnecessary matters. Wanted to find out what all these things are. Wanted to know what other women of our not of our own nation. Wanted to let people into our congregation. How Hezekiah did with Babylon, Babylonian king. Guess what? You want to do those things, and guess what? Most High God gonna get you. How David, well, I'm gonna touch on David too. I'm gonna touch on Solomon. Those are the two people I'm really gonna go to, cause hey, two mighty men. But guess what? They did fall off. Guess what? Hey, they did it for a reason. But guess what? It wasn't the reason that. It's the reason that we use now, like how we say Romans 15:4. That things are written aforetime, written for our learning, right? Because we knew Solomon knew everything, so as much as David. He was a man after the Lord's heart. But guess what? When you depart from that and follow your own wickedness, you'll get what you're looking for, right? The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7, verse 25. This is Solomon. It said, I apply my heart to know and to search and to seek out wisdom and the reasons of things, and to know the wickedness of folly, even of foolishness and madness. Because guess what? Solomon knew all the wisdom. He knew everything. Like, matter of fact, I wasn't even going to put it. I didn't put it in the class, but I just kind of want to show you how great Solomon was and how much the Lord really blessed him with the understanding. We go to wisdom. Solomon. It's, y'all can tell me if y'all can hear me. I'm having some connection. You know, Esau, I always want to mess it up. Y'all can hear me? Somebody let me know in the comments. I see a precept, but I'm trying to see if I can still hear me. I know the thing was messed up. Okay, con. Like I was saying, man, hey, intermeddling with all that wisdom, but Solomon knew all wisdom, right? The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7, verse 17, it said, for he has given me certain knowledge of the things that are, namely to know how the world was made and the operation of the elements. So he knew all these things, right? I'm just going to run through it. The beginning, ending, and midst of the times, the alterations of the sun, the alterations of the turning of the sun, and the change of seasons, the circuit of years, and the position of stars, the nature of living creatures, and the furies of wild beasts, the violence of winds, and the reasonings of men, the diversity of plants, and the virtues of roots, and all such things as are either secret or manifest, them I know. Guess Solomon knew every single thing. He said, and guess what? If he didn't feel like he went through everything when he made this thing, he said, guess what? Anything that's manifest, that means coming to, or anything in secret, guess what? I know that too. But guess what? He still wanted to know sin, right? He still fell into that sin. You know, hey, guess what? He still fell into lust. That's a lot of things. That's a lot of things that get brothers and sisters in this truth, right? It's lust, being curious. Dang, I wonder how this feel. I wonder how this go down, right? Falling into that lust, guess what? It get you messed up, right? But I'm gonna get that account in Nehemiah. Go with him knowing all this wisdom, not just for the world, but you don't think he knew? He knew the scriptures diligently. Guess what? If he had wisdom, we know wisdom is just keeping up the law, right? So he knew these things, right? So is David too. But I had seen your precept. Let me go look for it real quick. What's you say? Sirach 5:15. Look there real quick. See if it's touch it before I go. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. The book of Sirach, chapter 5, verse 15. Be not ignorant of anything, in a great matter or a small. Hey man, that's cool, man. Hey, that's for real, because guess what? Your curiosity, because let's say you ignorant, your curiosity be like, man, let's just fall into it. Guess what? Nah, man, you can't be ignorant of them things, because it can be something small. That little leaven that you left out, guess what? It can level into a whole lump. But without you cutting that thing dry, without you figuring it out, like, oh, okay, that's contrary to my doctrine, or oh nah, because guess what? It'll start creeping on you. Be like, dang, I wonder if that is right. Dang, the 7-day Sabbath is not Saturday. Or what if? I wonder if this. I wonder if that. Guess what? If you don't cut it where it is, guess what? It'll grow into something like that, right? Hey, cause even the small things, like, dang, do I need to wear my just every single day? Or dang, do I have to pray? Or dang, do I even have to pray? Stuff like that, little small things that can lead up to something big. Cause guess what? And you'll be at the truth, right? Now I'll praise the Most High for that precept. But I'm gonna go back to Nehemiah chapter 13, verse 23. I'm just gonna kind of read through it. I'm to the point. Matter of fact, I'll do it. It's a great story, man. The book of Nehemiah, chapter 13, verse 23. In those days also I saw Jews that had married wives of Ashdod and in the Moab. So this is during the time of Nehemiah, when Nehemiah was getting up with these folks. Like, he was contending with them. Hey, he was getting up there with them, right? But he seen people of our nation marrying people of the other women, right? Other strange nations, right? It said, and their children spake half in the speech of Ashdod, and could not speak in the Jews' language, but according to the language of each people. Because guess what? Hey, you followed after these women, he said, for they will turn you away from following your God, right? Guess what? They didn't have them speaking their own language now. They speaking the tones and and all of that. Guess what? That's not our language, right? We speak Hebrew. Back then, and shoot, even now, what we're trying to get back to, right? It said, but according to the language of each people. And this Nehemiah was a mighty brother, man. He said, and I contended with them, and cursed them, and smote certain of them, and plucked off the hair. Just think about how big somebody got to be, though. Put you in a headlock, and so just pull out your hair, and just sit there and look at you. Right? Curse, getting on you, smote you, beat you up. Like, hey. He said, made them swear by God, saying, ye shall not give your daughters unto their sons, nor take their daughters unto your sons, or for yourselves. That's what he said, man. Hey, you know how people nowadays, man, put it on God. Say you won't do it no more. Swear for God you won't. He's pulling out their hair, beating them up, doing whatever, man. Hey, guess what? But he was doing it all for the Most High God, right? Guess what? Hey, some prophets just talk, but hey, Nehemiah get up with you. Straight like that. Verse 26, this is the point, though. It said, did not Solomon, king of Israel, sin by these things? Yet among many nations was there no king like him, who was beloved of his God. And God made him king over all Israel. Nevertheless, always that nevertheless when it comes to Israel being hard-headed. Even him did outlandish women cause to sin. But guess what? He fell away from his own lust, because we read that in James 1:13, right? He said, hey, you fall into that lust, right? Curiosity. He said, then fall sin, right? He said he fell into sin, and guess what? Guess what comes after that? Death. Ultimately, guess what? I mean, Solomon, hey, that's what comes with it, though. Because guess what? With Solomon knowing all these things, if he had all the wisdom, guess what else he understood? Let's go get it. Deuteronomy 7:3. He understood he understood that these things was wrong, right? He understood, like, hey, I can't do that. I didn't believe it. Hey, I understood it, but I want to know a little wickedness too, man. Let me get some wives, man. Let me get, man, they all right. The Moab good over there, little Ammon, hey. I know David, hey. I know they're gonna be my wash pot later on, since he knew the ending too. Hey, man, I just wanna see what they feel like right now, right? I ain't trying to wait. But this is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 3. It said, neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. For they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you, and destroy thee suddenly. Because, hey, Solomon got it. What got he got? got what he got, Salaki. But David, he got his a little more suddenly. How we was reading, even with Camp 101, how David got, he had got some stuff, man, from messing with the people, man. He got burnt. Like, he got joy suddenly. Hey, he said he felt it in the ones. I can't remember the precept. No, it's in Psalms. But, one of our brothers put it in the chat, man. I read that thing, man, because, hey, David fell by them things, too. Falling to lust of Bathsheba, right? Man, you gonna go kill his wife. You gonna go kill her husband, send him out there, and just go sleep with her. Like, oh yeah, I'm keeping the law. He knew the law. He knew he couldn't take no other man's wife. He was like, well, matter of fact, I'm gonna go kill him. That's wicked, man. Cause guess what? Most High God wasn't with him while he did that. But guess what? When he heard about it, when he got back in the spirit, and he released those sins, right? Guess what? After he done got over his little get off, and he done got back. Oh, I'm back normal now. I'm back in the spirit. Guess what? Came death. Cause guess what? His son died, right? His child, right? His newborn. Then he had incest going on in his own household. He had all these things, and guess what? Wickedness outraged through the land. Because later on, then you had Ahab and all his wickedness. You had all these things, but this stuff that comes with it comes in. Because David knew the law too, just as much as Solomon. Guess what? But hey, guess what? They had to feel them things, man. They had to feel that pain, right? But even going into that, he said he might serve other gods. My last thing I'm going into is just, hey, these idols, right? Because all these things that he said that would turn you away from serving your God. This is how we fall into the idols, right? So the next precept I want to go to, let's see, I want to touch on first. Yeah, I'm going to go to Deuteronomy. We in Deuteronomy. Slide back, go to Deuteronomy 4 and 19. It's crazy, I don't got the precepts on my paper. It's okay, we're going to make it work though. Because the thing is, hey, with them things, how it go down, hey, idols, guess what? You fall into idols, you'll fall into their women who worship those things. You'll fall into the men. You'll be curious of how they do it. Well, I wonder how the Moabites think they gonna make it to the kingdom. Let me try it like that. Maybe that'll work. But guess what? Most of our guys say, keep my commandments and live. Don't keep nobody else's commandments, right? He didn't tell you to go after Moab or after the sun, after the moon, right? He said he made those things. He made the moon for their seasons, right? He made them to declare, hey, feast days, declare things like that's it. But we take those things and we run with it, right? And we forget the true author of beauty, right? And I'm going to get that next. It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, verse 19. And lift up thine eyes to heaven, and when thou seest the sun and the moon and the stars, even all the host of heaven, shouldest be driven to worship them and serve them, which the Lord thy God hath divided unto all nations under the whole heaven. Because guess what? He gave those things for the other nations to worship. Guess what? Guess what? You got Greek mythology, right? You got all those people like Poseidon, and have Orion. You have all these things like, not Orion, Salaki, like Zeus and all of these people. Like, you have those people that look up to the stars, right? And they look at those things. They're like, oh, this is the god of this. This is the god of that. Or even right now, zodiac signs and all these things, right? This is how we fall into those things. He gave those to the other people. Give them something to do, right? So they can leave us alone. Guess what? We'll serve the living God. Go serve the sun. Because guess what? He come up down every day. He don't do nothing else. He do what the Most High God tell him. Go serve the moon. Go do that. Go serve the stars. Go do that. Because as for me and mine, as the children of Israel, who I separated, guess what? They gonna serve me. But guess what? We fell into those things, right? Because, hey, man, because Most High God told us from the beginning, don't serve other gods. Guess what? As soon as Moses left, they're gonna make a molten calf. Who did he do that? The Egyptians, right? But think about it. They want them guys that they can see presently. That's why the Lord said, hey, that's why Christ even himself, man, hey, obey me now, man, how much more in my absence, right? Because think about it, when he come back, he's not coming to play no games. He's gonna come back and kill all them other guys as he done did before. He's gonna show you that ain't nothing. He's gonna make everybody profess his name, man. He's gonna make everybody make the feel his pain and his wrath. So hey, it's either get right or get left with him, right? But the thing is, like, why would you worship some things that the Most High God created, right? Like, of course, you adorn them in their beauty, right? Like, damn, that's a pretty star. Like, oh, okay, those are pretty planets or whatnot. But the thing is, don't take that and run with it to where that's your doctrine now, or that's your philosophy. That's your thing, right? That's your curiosity now. Oh, my curiosity is straight towards this. Wherever the sun line up, that's how I'm gonna feel today. Oh, it's noon. I'm supposed to be mad. No, man, that's wickedness, man. But matter of fact, let's go get it. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 13. I'm gonna start at the top. My last little spiel on this, man. I'm gonna get up out here. because hey, it's a lot of things that we're curious about, right? We're curious about the other nations, curious about the different gods. We even curious about just all wisdom, right? But the thing the Most High God, I'm gonna get it in last. It's gonna kind of make all sense with all I was saying. This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 13, verse 1. And it says, "Surely vain are all men by nature, who are ignorant of God, and could not out of the good things that are seen know him that is, neither by considering the works that they acknowledge the workmaster." Because guess what? We was all made in the flesh, right? We all had that heart, that wicked heart, right? But he said by nature, that's understandable, cool. Guess what? You walk in the spirit, though. He said, hey, and could not out the good things that are seen know him that is. Because think about it. We see the sun. We haven't seen the Most High God, right? Guess what? We don't know that. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, hey, what? Oh, the moon, that look nice, but guess who made the moon? Stars look like made stars. Guess what? He made Esau too, right? But guess what? They're gonna be destroyed. Why would you want to look at them? Why would you want to be around? Why would you want to be married with those things, right? If you know there's some things gonna perish, guess what? Why would you be around it? Don't be curious in it. Because guess what? As they perish, hand join hand, you get it too. But verse 2, it said, "But deem either fire or wind, or the swift air, or the circle of the stars, or the violent waters, or the lights of heaven to be gods, which govern the world." Because that's what they do. They literally take the stars, they take the moon, they take the sun, take the planets. Guess what? Oh, that's how I'm feeling today. Let me go look at my zodiac sign. Let me look at the astrology page. Oh, the stars line up today? Oh, that means I'm going to be a millionaire. You'll still be broke the next day. Guess what? You'll be broke physically because, hey, they can't grant you nothing nor give you nothing. And you'll still be broke spiritually because guess what? You're still not fed with the right things to get you the real wisdom, right? It said, "But to be gods which govern the world." We know dang well they don't govern nothing. They don't run nothing. All they do is do their job, how the most good God tell them to do, right? It said, "With whose beauty, if they being delighted, took them to be gods." That's how we do it, because it looked good. You want to be with Esau because it looked good. You want to be with Elon because it looked good. Because it damn sure didn't smell good. Showdown with Ham, it didn't smell good. Probably looked good, but it ain't. That's a lot of things. It's all this beauty. Your curiosity, your lust, your attraction follow you into these things, right? Took them to be gods. Let them know how much better. That's even, I just thought about it. All praise to the Most High. He put on my spirit with Cedric Bozier. He looked good. He a nice, look calmly, soft man. Oh, just love me. Just love me. Let me hug you, please. Esau, dude, can I give you a hug? Can I shake your hand? No, you can't touch me. What does a dog have to do with a king, man? It has nothing to do with that. You can sit right here. Sit right here and eat my scraps. But hey, that beauty of that weak old little God, just because Christ, hey, we know Christ wasn't a comely man, right? Guess what? But they didn't stop his work, right? They didn't hinder him, right? Because guess what? We're not looking for beauty. We're looking for salvation, right? But they said, hey, with whose beauty? They being delighted. Took them to be gods. Let them know how much better the Lord them is. For the first author of beauty had created them. You wouldn't know what beautiful is. You couldn't call no girl pretty. You couldn't call nothing beautiful if you didn't know who created it. That's what's beautiful. His power and omnipotency, right? But it said if they were astonished at the power and virtue, let them understand by them how much mightier he is that made them. Dang, the sun is hot. How does it get hot? How does it give off those rays? That's what the Most High God made it, right? Dang, how does the moon control the tides? How does the moon do this? How does the moon declare its work? Guess what? The Most High God did these things, right? How much mighty is that, man? Hey, man. Verse 6, Salaki. Oh, no, verse 5. For by greatness and beauty of the creatures, proportionably, the maker of them is seen. Guess what? When you see these beautiful things, it's how you see the Most High God, because you see his works, right? Because it said a man be known by his looks. And guess what? When you see all these things that were created on earth, hey, they were made perfect to the Most High God. So that's how you know his beauty. That's how you know his works. You keep living, how you keep staying in the truth, you start seeing his works more and more reflect on you, your children, your household, and all around this mother. When you see the heathen get destroyed, guess what? That's beautiful to the Most High God. When you get built up and get blessed in these scriptures, that's beautiful to the Most High God, right? All these things, man, are beautiful to the Most High God. We just got to walk ye in it, right? It said, verse 6, but yet for this they are the less to be blamed, for they peradventure err, seeking God, and desires to find him. Hey, man, guess what? That's how you err, because you're not looking for the real God. You're looking for something else that's not real. You're looking for the Son. The Son not looking for you. Most High God looking for you. That's what you need to go find, right? But, let me get my last precept. No, not my last precept. I got one more. Because at the end of the day, right, even with Solomon going off, but Solomon knew all wisdom, right? Perfect example to use. He knew everything from the beginning to the middle to the end. He said he knew the beginning, the midst, and the end times, right? He knew everything. He knew about the elements. He knew about the stars. He knew about the moon, right? Even through all these things, Solomon told him one thing out of all these things, because Ecclesiastes, he tell you how all these things are vain, all these things are foolishness, right? After all of this, he told us to do one thing, right? This is the book of, everybody should know where I'm going. The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 11, first, chapter 12, Salaki. I'm going to start at 12 just to get a little bit more how I was making the point. It said, and further by these, my son, be admonished of making many books. There is no end. Guess what? When you find all that wisdom, I'm pretty sure when Esau and all them people saw the little Enoch look like this, oh, they made it like this. Guess what? They was full of wisdom. Guess what? Putting some wicked stuff in there. Found a Jasher. Or even when they took stuff out of this Bible, right? Guess what? He said, hey, there's no end to that, because guess what? You'll keep going until you vomit, right? You keep eating. You'll keep on. Guess what? Hey, this Bible will fill you up. You can eat one good little portion of this Bible and you be good for the day. But hey, with that wisdom that's wickedness, guess what? You can keep in it, because you're going to keep falling and falling deeper and deeper into sin. Guess what? To where you probably ain't going to get out. Your curiosity will kill, right? That's it, man. It said, by making many books, there is no end. And much study is a weariness of the flesh. Guess what? Much study. Too much honey. As I was reading the Proverbs, that's a precept to that. I got to write that at the class. Because too much honey is too much for somebody, right? Get what's sufficient for you, right? But this is what Solomon said at the end of all this going. Everything is vanity. Making all these books. Vanity of vanities, right? It said, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Out of everything from start to the finish, from the end, the midst, and the beginning, right? He said, let's hear the conclusion of the whole matter. It says, fear God. Psalms 111 and 10, right? And keep his commandments. It's straight like that. It said, for this is the whole duty of man. Not to search out your own wisdom, not to seek out your own glory, not to be curious with the other nations, but keep the commandments. Guess what? You keep the commandments. Guess what? You love your own people. You keep the commandments. You don't look at the idols as nothing but just idols. And guess what? You look at women as being, that's not our nation, dogs and servants to you, right? If you keep the commandments, right? It's verse 14 says, for God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. Guess what? So when judgment day comes, when judgment comes for you, hey, like I always say, ain't nowhere to hide, man, because he's going to bring everything to manifest and he's going to show you everything that you did, because Solomon told you, hey, keep the commandments, live. That's it. But I'm going to get my last precept, and then we're going to get a law. Let's go to 2nd Esdras, chapter 9, 13. Like I said, Ezra was a mighty brother, and he was curious about a lot of things. And Most High told him what to be curious about, right? This is what he told him. The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 9, verse 13. And therefore be thou not curious how the ungodly shall be punished, and when. Guess what? We'll be curious about that too in Israel. Like, dang, when they going to pay, Lord? When they going to get it? I'm tired of going to work. I'm tired of, man, so don't be curious in that, because guess what? Whenever I choose to do it, it's going to be perfect, right? It said, but inquire, to mean go out and search, to go look for that. He said, man, don't do that. Go look for this. But inquire how the righteous shall be saved, whose the world is, and for whom the world is created. Hey, all praise to the Most High, man. He said, don't be curious and how about this. You going to see how much, you're going to be curious about how Israel going to be saved. Go look at that, right? And the world this is. This is your world. Go search for those things. Go look how you can get saved, right? Go look how you can get your salvation. It said who the world is created. It's another cut for Christians, man. Because guess what? Who the ungodly? The people who ain't got the laws, right? And go for Israel, too. But don't worry about them. They say, man, worry about, the salvation. Worry about your righteousness, how to be saved, who the world is created for, and by him, right? And with that, I'm going to say shalom, man. And all praise to the Most High, man, for this class. Like I said, for the leadership, for even giving me this opportunity. Man, I see the class went a little longer than what I wanted to, but I mean, sure, all praise to the Most High, man. You just put on my spirit to even have a class. Because, a lot of people just They need these little pick-me-ups, man. And I mean, from now on, I'm gonna start trying to do my courses. Like I said, as soon as I get off work, that way I don't overlap on Barry Kai class this evening, which you'll see me in, Lord willing. And we're bringing in a beautiful Sabbath, man. But like I said, at the Battle Axes, we always tell everybody to keep the law, statutes, commandments. We always finish with a law. We're gonna go to the Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 13, verse 6. Because shoot, with us being curious, hey, with us knowing not to be curious, we gotta avoid certain things too, right? Because we know we can fall into them things with our wives, with our husbands, if they going off, which they shouldn't be. They should be keeping the laws, right? Women too, the Israelites, of course. But hey, other nations, other people, right? But this is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 13, verse 6. It says, if thy brother, the son of thy mother, or thy son, or thy daughter, or the wife of thy bosom, or thy friend, which is as thine own soul, entice thee secretly. Guess what? Saying, come on, let's go be curious. Come be curious about this. Come inquire this real quick. Let me teach you this new knowledge. Let me show you something, brother. Let me teach you something. Let us go and serve other gods, which thou hast not known, thou nor thy fathers. Because they might not say that openly. I'd be like, hey, man, look at this. You see how that line up? Hey, today you went to go get some gas, right? He said, yeah. Guess what? The stars told me that. And damn well the stars didn't tell you that. I just didn't have no gas. But he said, hey, the land of the gods of the people which are round about you, right? Nigh unto thee, or far off from thee, from the one end of the earth even unto the other end of the earth. Thou shalt not consent unto them, nor hearken unto them. Guess what? Don't be curious. Rebuke them, like even how I even pulled that precept, man. Hey, he said, but rather reprove them, right? Tell them where they going off, right? Neither shall they eye pity them. Don't respect that person, man. Don't respect the person in this truth. Neither shalt thou spare, neither shalt thou conceal him. Guess what? Don't put it away. Guess what? Handle that thing, man. Rebuke him sharply, build him back up, and show him where he went off, right? In verse 9, but thou shalt surely kill him. Thy hand shall be first upon him to put him to death, and afterwards the hands of all the people. So back then, that's what they used to get down, right? But now, guess what? We're not going to kill him physically, but we're going to kill off that weak flesh and put on that spirit of the Almighty on that brother or that sister or that family member. Start getting them back to these laws and commandments. But as for the heathen, hey, guess what? We're going to give them their judgment in due time, right? But with that, I'm going to say shalom.